Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I'm asking the Lord to give me the strength to speak because my voice is crap today, but I have a few thoughts. I've been reading up on just exactly what people are so angry at Dave Chappelle about. I was on a Talib Kweli post, and initially, what took me down that rabbit hole was the post where he had referenced Rolling Stone bashing a festival they had in Ghana, a black, gathering. This is a beautiful festival from what I understand. And I guess one of the from one of the writers, I don't know if beat writer is the right thing, I'm a sports guy, but one of the writers there over at Rolling Stone wrote on it and essentially said that they didn't appreciate the fact that Dave Chappelle was allowed to be there supported, in whatever way he was because of his offenses against the LGBTQ community. And then I was trying to figure out what the heck. I guess somehow I ended up in the comments section, and somebody, was writing up what they understood his offense to be. And at some point in time, he said some jokes that he shouldn't have said in regards to the community, and called himself Team Turf, TERF. And then I went on a Google rampage to figure out what turf was, and essentially it was some very, very, very colorful, beyond my brain type of understanding. It was definitely smarter in words on that page than what my brain could comprehend, to be honest with you. But what I was essentially able to understand is that that word was used to bully them, their community, transgender people specifically. And it's an ideology that essentially separates them from being able to have, the same freedoms, I guess you could say, as biological women, allowing them to be in the same spaces and occupy the same opportunities. I think the ideal is that you would be against that if you're Team Turf, for which Dave Chappelle may have jokingly said that he was supporting of, or what have you. I didn't hear the joke or the context to know if it was a joke or a declaration. I don't know. But just getting educated on that. The reason why it prompted me to speak is because a few days ago I was thinking about just overall concept of the understanding that I don't appreciate how the black struggle and the LGBTQ struggle has tended to be blended at times. And I took me down a rabbit hole of questioning whether or not I had the right idea about that. And so, unlike old opinions that I used to have in the past, with the relationship I have with God now and the whole way I live now, there's really no reason not to pray about everything that I'm not certain about. So that's exactly what I did. I gave some prayer. And, it's a lot of things that I think kind of manifested in my mind. Several things. The first thing was an opinion, and that opinion is I don't want to be someone who needs to die for someone else to live free. And I think about how progress is slow and how there's a facet of people who don't want me to succeed and have the same opportunities as others just because I'm a black person. And how it would be a wonderful world if they just all died so that those ideologies could not exist and we could live free. I don't want to be that person because of some natural feelings or emotions or unprayed for opinions that I may have that put me in a position to be somebody that just sucks to be on earth with. Regardless of whether or not I'm right or wrong in my mind, but just making life harder for somebody else because of bad energy that I may have pointed at them because of ideals that I may hold true. I just realized I don't want to be that person. It means more to me to get educated on how to respect people than to walk around with my chest out and just assume it's okay not to because I don't feel how they feel. I think that's what the world is made up of. In a lot of cases, it makes the world a lot harder to live in for people. And so that's what I came to terms with as an opinion. It's the truth. And what I came up with in prayer was something very interesting. Had nothing to do with my thought. It was a 3-level parallel. And if you follow me on as a fan of the Los Angeles Lakers, if you follow me, then this parallel is very, very specific to exactly what the Lakers were dealing with in a specific situation, and then it leveled all the way up into different things. And I will explain this to you because it was basically like a vision that came to me, and this is what it came his way. In this way, the Los Angeles Lakers had a situation where, now this didn't have to be this way, but as I perceived it, it was like this, so it was relevant. This is the point. Russell Westbrook was given the ball at the end of the game. LeBron James, the best player maybe ever, was kind of away from the plate and allowed Russell Westbrook to take the play on. And however it played out, I think he was fouled. I think it was pretty clear he was fouled, but they didn't call it. The game did not work out. The play didn't work out, and we lost the game. And the coach was essentially saying, we put the ball in the best player's hands. We believe he could do this. He closes games. We put the ball in his hands. We're confident we could close. But the understanding that I have is that Russell Westbrook is not that great of a closer. He's great at other areas, but when you put the ball in his hands in that situation, it doesn't work. But because we've had some issues with our chemistry in regards to him and him struggling so bad for the last couple of years, his personality is such a way to where you want to empower him to do what it is that he's comfortable doing. You know what I mean? And my perception of that is this. It doesn't necessarily have to be this way, but it's irrelevant. So follow me. As I was explaining it to you guys in the video, I was saying, we can't keep telling Russell Westbrook, empowering him to do something that's going to ultimately make him fail. The math isn't going to add up. You can't, I can't put the ball in my hands and have people gas me up to say I'm Michael Jordan. And then when I start dribbling the ball, I fail and everybody's laughing at me. It's like, wait, you guys allowed me to think that I was something I'm not. And the math didn't add up. You allowed me to believe that even though in my mindset I was a great point guard, at the end of the day, my body and my activities and the surrounding what was coming at me didn't allow me to succeed in what it is that I had confidence in. So it didn't help that I had confidence. I needed to also be that from which my confidence was inspired. Actually be that, not just believe it, not just have everybody around me pretend like they agree that I'm that. Level up this situation here. That's what came to me in prayer. It's one of those situations where it's like, as I think about it, it's like just because the environment agrees that we're something doesn't necessarily mean that the math will add up. And there will be certain situations where you're going to impose on the realities of the circumstances of the environment around you while upholding that belief and that truth in your mind that doesn't actually add up numbers wise. So like, that's what it comes down to biologically. And then you're asking the world around you to agree with the ideal that you are what you believe yourself to be, because in your mind you perceive yourself that. But the math, the science, and the environment itself will betray that once certain things take place. Or you will otherwise ask others to betray their truth in the name of you upholding yours. And this is where we run into trouble. This is where we run into trouble in regards to this conversation, because there's no way to knock off that truth. At the end of the day, we have ideals versus mathematics and science. And you're asking people to roll with ideals, but over time, I don't know if that is going to add up, because at the end of the day, in all walks of life, whether we believe ourselves to be something or not, we're still just physically what we are until we're no longer. So if my ideals can make me something that I'm not, how can I make the environment agree as well? How can I make time and space agree as well? I don't know that I can do that. Just because I tell myself that I'm a woman or something of that nature doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to go out and make it so, unless we all agree to make it so. But then when it's time to treat me a certain way with physically, you're going to have to treat me like a man. And if I demand you treat me like a woman, it's going to hurt my health. It's going to hurt my circumstances. It's going to hurt the environment around me or what have you in various ways that I can't necessarily fathom. But the vision provided this to be the reaction to the prayer. This is what came to me. And in the third level, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, one nation under God. We like to remove God from the equation as if we're gods ourselves. We allow those who say God isn't real to run things now, like literally. But the problem is the math isn't going to add up, because what you're going to find out is that there is a God. And not only that, but those who are in control can't control time and space. They don't know what's at the furthest bottom of the ocean. They don't know what's in the furthest, reaches of space. They can't tell you how to fix certain things that our science hasn't figured out yet. They can't control the minds of people who completely lose it. There was a gentleman this morning, I saw Little Duval on Instagram posted. This guy, I guess, lost his wife somehow, or his wife didn't, come back to him, rather. He got into a big dump truck. It basically ran over everything in front of him. Ran it into a house, ran it into several cars. God knows where he took that thing. But what I'm telling you is, these people who think they can control the world, they can't stop this. They can't stop that guy, random dude in Buffalo that shot up all the people at the supermarket. They couldn't stop that dude in Vegas who decided to take his rifle up to the top of area, whatever, and shoot at a bunch of people. They can never stop this stuff, because God is actually in control of all of that. He has the answers. He has what it is. And we don't even know how best to connect with him. We can't figure out which religion is real or none of that. Or if he is real, so how can we possibly call ourselves God when we haven't even figured out the understanding? It doesn't add up. You try to remove God from the circumstance. They want to take God out of everything, X his name out of everything, as if it's going to add up. You're going to do math a certain way with the understanding that God doesn't exist, and it's going to not work out. The rubber's going to meet the road. You're going to move as if you're the all-seeing eye, and the weather's going to get too hot for you to live, or it's going to start freezing over, and you ain't going to be able to survive. All this different stuff that you guys are working on, it's like, yeah, we're gods, and we could believe, and we're doing this, and we are what? No, you're not. You still have to succumb to the understanding that bacteria could take you all out. COVID taught us that just a couple minutes ago. Take you out. You ain't got no control over that. And so this is what I'm saying. It's like, because there's so many unanswered questions, so much context we've yet to find, how could we be so arrogant as to remove God from what it is we're doing? And then be definitive in moving as if he doesn't exist. Like we could just do whatever we want to do, and as if it doesn't have any long-term consequences, or as if we're the last people on earth. If we not learn from our ancestors? 3 levels of believing our own ideals and lies without it actually being able to add up. As I've said a million times on this phone, you could take the numeral 2 and have it represent 3. But at the end of the day, what you're picking up, if it's one or the other and you put them together, you're still going to come up with 2. It doesn't matter what the numeral is now represented as. You still have to have the math add up. You could say 4 is 2, 2 is 8, 8 and 6. It's still not going to change the fact that what you're picking up each and every time, or what you're counting, is going to come together to be whatever it is, regardless of what you're calling it. This is what came to me in prayer when I was thinking about how I didn't want to be such a jerk to people who are walking the earth trying to find freedom. The answer to me is they can't pretend there's something they're not. You can have an ideal about who you are, keep it in your heart, and ask everybody to agree. But when it's time to treat you or treat others, you got to know you're what you're born to be. You can cut things off. You can add things on. You can believe it. You can tell yourself. You can have psychologists tell you there's nothing wrong with you. You can tell them. You can have psychologists tell you there's everything wrong with you. You can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want, and I'll call you whatever you want. But we can't change the chromosomes, family. We can't change the past. We can't come out of the womb as something we were not and make the world agree and then act as if treating things that way is going to add up. It don't. God is telling me it doesn't add up on all 3 levels. You can't pretend you are something you're not and expect to get the results of if you are. God made us exactly who he wanted us to be, and he wants us to know he exists. So therefore you cannot declare you something you're not, because he already made you what you are. You're not him. You don't have the right. But he did make you believe yourself to be a certain way, and that is the plight. That's the struggle, to balance and understand that you're not the center of the world, but you are who you are. So live that, be that, and love him. When you love him, then you won't love yourself so much to make people believe something that you're not. You'll just be who you are, and that'll be enough. You won't have to force the world to do this. You won't have to do any of that. But we're still trying to pretend like we're God, to pretend like we're this, to pretend like we can do things we cannot do, and not allow people to just be who they are, while understanding that we can't force ourselves to be who we're not. This is why you have these conundrums when people want to fight, because this is a conundrum that shouldn't be at all. This is a balance of I'm important and I'm not at the same time. Because God is the most important. Regardless if I see myself as a man, a woman, a cow, an onion, it's still about others and everyone. So how can I make myself better for him, so that he can make me understand that it's about making myself better for me, and then from there, that'll trickle down to be better for everyone else. But as long as we're trying to say I'm me and not looking inward to see if getting better is the way to go, rather than declaring that you're the best or that you are, but that you should be connected with something greater than yourself, so you can figure out what your purpose is as being whoever it is that you've found yourself to be. You awakened, yes, but did you create self? No. So purpose could be found, could it not? Look for that. Instead of declaring that you're just whatever you've woke up to find yourself as. As that, we have a purpose. And it ain't just to make people believe things that ultimately will not add up. It doesn't work. So that's what came to me in prayer. And I'm just sitting there like, Lord, can you please just make it so that I'm not an evil person, or that I'm not pushing people aside or making them feel like they can't live comfortably with, you know what I'm saying? Because I want people to be all right. If you want to be called a she, I'm cool with you being a she, bro. I don't care. I'll do that. I'll discipline myself to hit all the pronouns and learn all the context and be as cool as I need to be, so that you don't have to wish me death to find freedom. But when I look into my prayer, I find you have accountability to hold for yourself as you're looking for your identity. And no one's going to tell you that, because it's not, they don't have a right to. We're in a space where God's not supposed to exist. And I'm telling you, he doesn't hate you. He just don't want us moving in the wrong way, so that our math doesn't add up, so that we're forcing people to be uncomfortable while we're trying to find out who we are and what our purpose is. And we're going to find out what our purpose is when we find out that we're not the center of the universe, and that there's something greater than ourselves, no matter who we identify ourselves to be. And when we find out that we all are going to be friends and family tomorrow, it doesn't matter what group you're in, that we have to put good seeds in the world for everyone and every friend. Your child might be trans tomorrow just because you stand against them as a turf. Bro, your son may be a girl. How are you going to deal with it? You could take the D Wade route, or you could go against it and have your kid hate you. But at the end of the day, if you don't make peace with it beforehand, you're just going to push out the hatred that you ultimately fear. And that goes for David and anybody else. So while I understand the 3 levels that the Lord is telling me, I also tell the Lord, I got to live here, man. So show me how to love these people, and show them how to love themselves, and show them how to not be the center of the universe, and show me how not to be the center of the universe anyway as well, while I'm trying to identify what I'll accept and what I'll appreciate and who am I? Who am I to tell people, yeah, you could be yourself? Yeah, you could. What? I had somebody tell me that. It didn't feel too good, God. So what am I supposed to say to these people? I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is I'm not supposed to say anything other than what I know. And that is, I was looking for a way to find peace. And what I found was an understanding that we're moving with a calculator that doesn't work. We need to be who we are, but we also need to understand who we're born to be. If we came from within the legs of a woman, then that woman was identified as such, regardless of how she saw herself. A man, a woman, belief, cow, or whatever, she still was able to give birth because she was born with certain things. And those things come naturally. Some with both. And we love them too, man. So let's not marginalize ourselves for our mindsets, or for not being able to understand one another's mindsets. Let's learn how to coexist. There are scenarios for everything, man. I don't mind in certain situations if the man uses a woman's bathroom, but if a certain type of mind goes in a certain bathroom with a certain type of mind, this is bad. I don't care how you want to label people. We don't have the perfect math for that. Sometimes that's going to be fine. Sometimes it's not. So as we try to figure out how to surmise how best to just marginalize and make things kind of make sense, at the end of the day, you know things going to slip through the cracks each and every dang time. So could we plan for that? Or is that just too complicated for our minds? We just have to have a broadening scale for everything, right? Wrong. Be better. BDF 44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.